This is Weekly Sports Talk with Ed, episode 61. Started a few seconds late, but still pretty good on time. Didn't start too late, but I'm gonna talk about the Micah Parsons trade, do the impact, a recap, talk about the WNBA teams that have been eliminated from playoff contention and what's next for those teams. I'll give our athletes of the week at the end. So yeah, but I think I'm gonna talk about the Micah Parsons trade first. I just gotta make sure I got all my banners, and I'm talking about Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain too, and who I think's better all time. And then on Friday, I'm gonna drop a video about top 10 shooting guards in the NBA. So yeah, since there's still plenty of time before the NBA season starts, so I'll be able to do that. But let's get into the Micah Parsons trade first. The Cowboys received Kenny Clark and 2 first-round picks, while the Packers received Micah Parsons. The first thing when I see this trade is, the first thing that I'm thinking about is Dallas not being able to pay Micah Parsons, and really looking at it from both sides of why they had to do this trade and why it's not as bad as some people may think. Like, obviously, Kenny Clark isn't as talented as Micah Parsons is, and the Cowboys have struggled with stopping the run. But Micah Parsons contributed to that struggle and not being able to stop the run. That's just been a constant theme with the Cowboys the last few years, which is why the Packers were able to run all over them in that playoff game as the first ever 7 seed to win a playoff game against the 2-seeded Cowboys, and was this season probably Dak's best season of his career, having an MVP case. But at the end of the day, you can't invest $150 million in 3 players, because you would have had all that money tied into CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, and Micah Parsons, which that affects the rest of your team. It's going to be hard to find other players to fill the void or what you need help with in really any skill position. Because if you have your quarterback, your star QB, your star receiver, and your star edge rusher, who else are you going to be able to pay? You're a kicker probably, but you won't be able to pay a running back or a receiver. You're just gonna have to get that through the draft. And that's not a guarantee that you're gonna find that. So tying all that money into 3 players, I get why they did it, but at the same time, I don't see why you send him to a rival, especially a team that's been whooping your ass, a team that just beat you in the playoffs a season ago, or 2 seasons ago now, when you were in the playoffs. And this team kick your ass in the playoffs, the first 7 seed to win a playoff game. A team that made history against you, a team that's constantly whooped you over through the course of NFL history. So it's like, I feel like, and Kenny Clark, he isn't terrible, but it's just he's on the older side of things in his 30s. And you got back to, and these first round picks are valuable, because in the NFL, you can get a steal at the end of the first round. There's guys you can get in the 3rd or 4th round in the NFL. I just think that this trade, and the 2 first round picks is reasonable, but I think they could have got more back in this deal. I think the Cowboys could have got more back for Micah Parsons. But with the Packers, I don't think this makes them a legit Super Bowl contender. They're still a playoff team. I think they'll be a bit better than what I was projecting. Because I'm going to post my NFL predictions on Wednesday. I have a full video out for that. And I think, and before the trade happened, because I already got the NFC side down, just got to finish with the AFC. But I did predict the Packers would go 9-8 before the trade. But even with this, I feel like, even with this trade, I think they'll be better than what I predicted at first. Because, like I said, pre-trade, I would have had the Packers going 9-8. I do like the addition of Matthew Golden through the draft. I love watching him in college. But I think with Micah Parsons, this team is still they're gonna be better than 9-8. Obviously, probably finish with 11 or 12 wins now. But I think the problem they have now is that they don't have any corners still, because Lucas Van Ness is good, and then you upgraded with Micah Parsons, who's great, but that's not the position you need to upgrade at. I think you need to address their corners. Like they addressed their receiver problem, and they got a better edge rusher, even though you already had a good one. Just having that upgrade in general was good. But I think they still don't have any corners really. But the defense, I think it should be fine with Micah Parsons, but they're going to be a playoff team, but I don't know if they'll be better than the Lions this year. I still think they finished 2nd in the division. So if you take the Eagles or Packers going to the Super Bowl, I think the thing with the Packers is that the defense does improve, even despite not having any corners. The defense does improve, but it really comes down to Jordan Love. Is he gonna be Is he gonna be healthy? And B, is he gonna be consistent? Because we seen last year he got injured in that first game in Brazil versus the Eagles, and then this can the Packers even beat? Can the Packers beat the Eagles? And I'm pretty sure we played the Packers in week. I forget which week we played them, but we played them in Green Bay because the Eagles beat them in Brazil last year and in the playoffs in the first round. And then Jordan Love was good in that opening week game too. But is Jordan Love going to be consistent and healthy? I think that's what it comes down to. Because Jordan Love is good, but out of Jordan Love, you need consistency and help from him. And he was injured for a few games. And you can't have a stretch. And especially with the NFC North, I think it's a lot of conversations about how good that division is going to be. I don't think this season where he can afford to miss 4 games and they'll still be a playoff team. Like, I don't know who their backup quarterback is, but I don't know when Malik Willis can just step in there and boom, he leads them to a few wins, or he's good enough to just get them a few wins, or bad enough to get them some losses. So that happened too in that run. But with the Bears, I don't think the Bears are going to be a playoff team. Some people are hyping that up. I think they'll win 8 games. I think they'll be middle of the pack team. But they're going to have some close battles with some top teams. I feel like even the Vikings, like they got the talent everywhere, but I don't know if I trust JJ McCarthy. I have to see him, but because on JJ McCarthy, I just have to see him on the field, to be honest, because I don't know what to make of JJ McCarthy yet, because we only have college film of him, so we're going to see what that entails. I do think with the Lions, with them having Aiden Hutchinson for a full season, I think they'll still be just as good as they were last season. And I doubt they lose in the divisional again with a healthy Aiden Hutchinson. Okay, that second team will be the Packers. I think if they can, the Packers really only have 2 issues, because like they got to upgrade an edge. So their only 2 issues now at this point and that's not even an issue necessarily, but like I said, can Jordan Love be consistent and healthy this season? I think that's going to be the most important thing. And then 2, will they trade for a corner at some point in the season? Because that's really what they need to upgrade at now. Because they got Matthew Golden in the draft. Like I said, that was a great move. That was a great decision for them to make. No, if they address those 2 issues, I could definitely buy that. But for now, I do still think the Lions to be better. But I don't think it's going to be easy for them to win the division. I think it's going to come down to the Lions or Packers winning the division. But they both going to be in the playoffs for sure. But I think once they address their corner issue, I think the Eagles probably the only team that can stop them. And with the Commanders, I think the Commanders going to finish second in the division again. But I don't know. I hope Jay Daniels doesn't have a sophomore slump, because Jay Daniels is getting a lot of hype. Was he 21 on the top 100? I could be mistaken, but he was like 21 on the top 100 or somewhere around there. And Jalen Hurts was 19, I think. But yeah, Jay Daniels, he got to do what he did last season. But for now, I think the Packers they're a solidified playoff team. It's no world where they don't make the playoffs unless injury happens. But I don't know if I can buy them as Super Bowl contenders without a true corner. That's my opinion as far as the Micah trade goes. But to tackle the Cowboys side once again, obviously you should have been able to get more from Micah Parsons. Just 2 seconds and Kenny Clark is a crazy package, but you can't tie all that money into 3 players. So I understand why they did it. But I don't understand why you don't send him to the AFC instead of keeping him in the NFC. Like, if there's a world where the Cowboys make playoffs, which won't happen, but let's just say it does, and you face the Packers again, where do you go from there? Like, I don't know, but they're probably going to have to move off of Dak soon, even though I don't think Dak is as replaceable as people make it seem. But either Dak or CD, you're going to have to move on from one of them as well, because that's already hella money tied into those 2 players alone. And yeah. So there's 3 teams in the W that have been eliminated from playoff contention, and there could be some more eliminated later today. But to tackle the Connecticut Sun first, who are 10-28 with the 3rd worst record in the league. They have an average of 3.9 years played, so they're a very young team. But their problem is they don't really have a true young star. Like you got Tina Charles and Marina Mabry, who's a veteran duo with good veteran experience. And then you have then you got the rookies of Anissa Morrow, Sanaya Rivers, and Layla Lacan, who's from France. So I might have pronounced her name wrong. Forgive me if I did. But they're all solid rookies, but can you build around any of those three? Like Lacan, she's averaging 10 points per game. She's had a solid season. Sanaya Rivers, like I said, she reminds me like a Jose Alvarado. Like it's not somebody you're gonna build around, but it's somebody that's gonna be essential to a winning team. She's just gonna bring that grit and intensity, which obviously the Pelicans haven't won anything, but a prototype like Jose Alvarado would work well on almost any team in the NBA, in my opinion. I feel like that's the role Sanaya Rivers is gonna be in her career in the WNBA. Because she's a really good defender, so I do see that. I can see her being on all defensive teams, maybe winning one DPOY in her career. That's what I see for Sanaya Rivers. And then Lisa Morrow, I don't think she's fully developed to her own yet. Like I think she could be a real double machine, like how she was in college. So I think give it another season or two. I think Lisa Morrow could be really solid. But this team really don't have a true young star that you can pinpoint and say, this is the future of this team. Like I don't see that with any other three rookies they have. Then there's two other rookies on the team who haven't gotten much playing time in Connecticut. But this team is super young. Like I said, you got Tina Charles with 13 years of experience. You got Marina Mabry with 6 years of experience. And it's a few women with somebody with 7 and somebody with 9 years of experience. But for the most part, this team is relatively young. Like on average, they have 3.9 years of experience rounded up. So that's 4. But yeah, Anissa Morrow, Sanaya Rivers, like I like both of them. Lacan, I don't know too much about her because I haven't kept up with the France women's scene. I kept up with them a little bit, but not like super heavy. But Anissa Morrow, Sanaya Rivers, I think they can both be solid. But on like Sanaya Rivers, I don't know if she's going to develop into her max potential with Connecticut, with the position that they're in, completely revamping the roster for last year and just completely being worse. Obviously, they were a playoff team, and they got rid of their entire starting lineup. I think they even got rid of their 6th woman from last year. So this team's in a really tough spot, and I have no clue where they realistically go from here. Then you got the Chicago Sky, who are 9-29, and have the second worst record in the league. This is a problem they've had all season, not having a primary playmaker, or really a primary playmaker and or a shot creator, because your primary playmaker was for the Vanderbilt Sloop. But she only played 7 games, and she was averaging 5.3 assists, which would have ranked top 10 in the league, if I'm not mistaken. But she's been out all season. She's only played 7 games, like I said. Then Angel Reese is averaging 3.7 assists, ranked 19th in the league in assists per game. But Angel Reese shouldn't be leading this team in assists per game. Like she's developed as a playmaker, which is good for her, but she shouldn't be the main playmaker or main shot creator for the Chicago Sky team. Like them not re-signing Kennedy Carter was a terrible move because she was averaging almost 20 points per game last season, giving teams some buckets. Even though she was annoying and a little arrogant on the court, she was giving teams buckets. She was doing her thing. So no matter how you feel about her, she was just right in that team that had them close to making the playoffs before an injury happened at end of last season. Like this team legit would have been at the 8th seed spot, and they would have injuries and Caitlin Clark would have been in the playoffs if it wasn't for the injuries that the Sky suffered late in the season when they were battling with Washington and Atlanta for that last spot in the playoffs. So yeah, this team, I feel like they really need a shot creator, because not having Kennedy Carter, that takes away one of your best that was her best shot creator. And now Angel Reese is your leading playmaker, and Angel Reese is great. Like I made multiple videos talking about how great Angel Reese is. Like she's not just offensive rebound; she's way more than that. Like she's a good rebounder. She's good on defense. Her layups are improving. Her field goal and her percentages are improving everywhere, from the field, from 3 to the free throws. So she's gotten better from last season to this season. But she doesn't need to be the primary playmaker. Like her playmaking improving, that's a good thing. But then every player has their role, and Angel Reese, her role shouldn't be I have to play make when she's the one leading the team in scoring. She is the one leading and rebounding. She's the one playing the best defense on the team. So then that's just extra pressure on her that she also has to find other shots for her teammates. And this should be absolutely important advantage for the stretch. She's the one finding Angel Reese for the layup or doing stuff like that. And now we need more shot creation from Angel Reese near the end of the game, which he did a great job at against. I gotta look at my notebook. It was a game that they had recently against. It was a game on Thursday this past week, which the Sky ended up losing. They lost 83-79, but late in that game, Angel Reese, she was struggling throughout the game. She finished with 15 points, 20 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 blocks on 5 of 11 from the field and 5 of 7 from the free throw line. And near that end, in like the fourth quarter, she had about 3 or 4 buckets to really put her team in position to win the game. Obviously, they lost by 4, but she did put them in position to win the game. And you can't take that away from her. She had a slow start, but she picked it up in the fourth quarter and felt like she did a great job just defending, getting rebounds, getting to the paint. Like I said, at 5 of 11, obviously you want that to be a bit better. That's just one game. Like her field goal percentage in general has been better than it was last year. It's improved by around 5 or 6% the last time I checked. But that was a really bright showing from her in that game recently, having her 420 rebound game in her career, which is very impressive because and it's not just all offensive rebounds, which I hate that myth that's been made up. But yeah, she shouldn't have to be the primary playmaker on her team. That's not Angel Reese's role. That's not what she's there for, especially as a power forward / center for a team. There's no situation where your power forward should be the best playmaker on your team. Unless you have like LeBron or AJ Wilson or somebody playing power forward, and there's somebody that can play multiple positions, then that's cool. But when you're most star power forwards shouldn't be leading their team in assists per game. And obviously there are some flaws with assists per game, but 3.7, like I said, I'm impressed with it. I'm impressed that her playmaking has improved, but she shouldn't be the primary playmaker on this team. That's not what she is. That's not a bad thing. That's not to be disrespectful. I just don't think that's her role with this team. So, and the last team eliminated from playoff contention, my Dallas Wings, who are 9-30. We just need Enrique to have a strong start to next season, and we also need to be healthy because the move to get Lay Jury at trade deadline was really good, or a little bit before that, get a better starting center than what we had. But Enrique had such a slow start to the season towards he didn't really come on until post All-Star break. So she can't start the season that slow again. Because obviously, with the new additions, then we traded the DJ Carrington, which I didn't think that happened. It's kind of sad. But yeah, we need a healthy season. Obviously, Paige missed a few games as well, even early on in the season. And she still has a good case for Rookie of the Year. It's like we need Enrique to have a strong start. Hopefully, we don't have a situation where we have to trade anybody super valuable to our team because DJ Carrington was doing great for us. And then we need health. Enrique needs to start strong. We need a healthy team because obviously Paige was out. Lay Jury is out for the rest of the season, I'm pretty sure. I think it said 10 days, but might as well call it out for the rest of the season. There's no need to bring her back. Like, I hope we don't shut down Paige because her winning Rookie of the Year will be cool. The Mystics should probably be eliminated soon, so her and Sonya gonna go back and forth for a while. Like maybe even, I can't wait to see what next season has in store for Paige and Sonya because they're both been really good. So this tight race between them for the Rookie of the Year has been really cool to see. But yeah, we need Enrique to have a strong start. We need to be healthy, and hopefully we don't have to make any moves that would hurt our team even more. Because hurt DJ Carrington hurt our defense. So yeah. And now to move on to Impact. Impact that took place this Thursday. You started the show with Mike Santana and Steve Mackin taking on AJ Francis and Trick Williams. And what was a cool tag team match? This was a good way to get the show started. Wasn't no shenanigans, didn't have Rich Swann ringside, anything like that. And then it was a good tag team match to get the show started. Obviously he had Trick accidentally kick AJ Francis at the end, and Mike Santana rolled up Trick Williams for the win. And so that feud is going to continue between Mike Santana and Trick Williams. Mike Santana will probably be the one to defeat Trick Williams for it. If it isn't him, then I'm going to be mad at AJ Francis. I think it'll be cool. But third time's the charm is probably the story they're going to tell with this whole thing because he lost. Because Mike Santana did lose due to AJ Francis interference in his first world title match versus Trick. In the second world title match, Joe Hendry got pinned after Trick faked the injury and threw Mike Santana out the ring. So if it comes down to Mike Santana being the one to win the TNA world title and bring it back home, that'd be something really cool to see. And then speaking of the world champions, because I don't think I wrote this down, but as by Elegance, they haven't did their celebration yet. Impact is going to be live next week, so this coming Thursday, live episode of Impact is when they're going to do the celebration, which is perfect because the pre-tape celebration would have felt weird. Like Ash by Elegance, she earned this moment. I'm happy to see her with the world title. So the Elegance Brands going to have a celebration on a live Impact show, which I'm excited for. Like obviously them being the heels, so people gonna root against them. But I think most people are happy, and despite whether they like Ash being face or heel, I think most people are happy with her winning it. Not just bringing gold back to TNA, but her winning gold from TNA in the WWE ring is so special, and I think that's worth a live celebration. So I'm totally fine with that. Glad that she won it. Now who challenges her next week? We're gonna see. Because Danny Luna had a very odd promo explaining why she attacked Indy Hartwell, despite the fact that they were just cool not too long ago. They had a mutual bond and respect for each other. Then she just turns. I guess she's healed now. And then Jody Threat and Indy were supposed to have a rematch to determine the actual number one contender since the ending in DQ. But Danny Luna, and then these segments, even though these segments aren't in order as I'm saying them, this is just how to. I'm just saying the shows that align with each other pretty well. So, and then you had Danny Luna come back there and she was like, how did she get rematched? When I lasted all that time, this and that. Now, I didn't see the gauntlet match, but Danny Luna's points don't make sense because that's how a gauntlet match works. Like, you can eliminate 4 people and then the last person to come in can eliminate you. That's just how a gauntlet works. But Indy told Santino, you know what? Add it to the match. I can beat Danny Luna and Jody Threat. And that's going to be a triple threat number one contenders match. So everybody gets what they want. Jody Threat, Danny Luna, Indy Hartwell. Whoever wins is the new number one contender for Ash by Elegance. I have a feeling one of Spitfires going to pin each other and Indy won't get that chance yet. Because Indy Hartwell will be a great TNA Knockouts champion. But I don't think they're going to pull the trigger on it yet. But I think she's going to be protected as well to where she loses the match, but she doesn't take the pin. I think it's one of Spitfires going to pin each other. And maybe it's Danny Luna that pins Jody Threat. So then she had something over Indy Hartwell. She could say, I won a triple threat match while you didn't. So that could be something really cool and really dope to do. And then, so you had Eric Young take on Marvin Reed in a very solid match. Zachary Wentz tried to help the official, but that just ended in an argument where where the referee wasn't messing with it, which I don't know why Zachary Wentz will get on the ring apron. So that just allows Eric Young to cheat and do whatever. Then you had a guy in the crowd with a sign that said "Contenders is coming," and it wasn't what's that tag team? It wasn't the Northern Army that had it. It wasn't either one of them. So that guy was definitely bigger than them. And after Eric Young got the win, obviously in cheating fashion, I think did he hold Logan without? And that might have been a different match. But anyways, Eric Young got the win. And then later you will see Eric Young in a backstage segment with Joe Hendry talking about how the Twins is coming, talking about how Joe didn't listen, this and that. He's beat down backstage. So a program with Eric Young and Joe Hendry is coming soon. That's going to be really dope to see. I'm excited for that. Maybe Eric Young is that's going to be on his journey to win TNA gold again. Maybe Mike Santana should want to dethrone Trick, but Eric Young could dethrone Mike Santana. And that's thinking way too far into the future. But something like that could potentially happen. It will be really dope to see Eric Young with the TNA gold again, Northern Army with the tag titles. The Twins is coming. I really wonder what that means. Like I like how they make it mysterious, really make you think about it, make you wonder, oh, what's next? Like what's coming next? Like I like what they're doing with this. We had let's see what the Inspiration took on Fatal Influence. It was a great tag team match. Really enjoyed this. Had a lot of fun watching this. It was great tag action from both teams. Like both teams worked really well together. Fatal Influence, despite the loss, they showed good teamwork here. There wasn't any dysfunction in this match. Now, the Inspiration did get to win. and they're trying to prove where they should be #1 contenders for the Knockouts tag titles. It was a good win for them. Now, obviously, JC Jane, there's going to be some stuff said on NXT when Fatal Influence and JC Jane get back together on NXT. But I'm liking what they can do with this if they split them up. But I don't think it needs to happen anytime soon. Like they should keep this going. Like maybe they get the main roster tag belts on WWE while JC Jane loses the NXT belt. I don't know if JC Jane is going to lose it to Lola Vice. She could, but she just lost the Knockouts title. I don't think she's going to lose it that fast. But Fatal Influence, I'm liking what they've been doing. Despite the loss, it was a good match. It was a good showing from Jasmine Nix and Fallon Henley. And then the Inspiration, aka the Iconics, they look great in the match. So it was a good tag team match, good win for the Inspiration. And now where Fatal Influence goes from here, who knows? But JC Jane, I don't think she's gonna lose the title soon because I think Blake Monroe's gonna be the one to beat her for it. I don't think Lola Vice is getting that title. But for Fallon Henley and Jasmine Nix, they don't need the Knockouts tag titles. But if they win the main roster tag titles, that could be cool. Them against Charlotte and Alexa Bliss, even though it probably won't happen. Or maybe one of them could go after this. Actually, with any of the Fatal, with the Speed Championship coming to NXT, all three women could be singles champions. Now, I don't know how realistic that is, but you could have Jasmine Nix win the Speed Championship, have Fallon Henley win the North American Championship again, and they all hold singles gold at the same time since NXT has 3 singles women's titles now. So I think before Fatal Influence splits up, because obviously they had because obviously Fallon Henley's been a singles champ, JC James been a singles champ. This could be the chance to make Jasmine Nix a singles champ, and then before he split them up, have all 3 of them hold singles of gold, and then they slowly fall apart as they start losing it. Like, I won't split up Fatal Influence yet. I think that could be a cool story that they could tell with all of them holding singles of gold at one point. Because it's not a lot of it's obviously been a few factions that did it, but it hasn't been a lot that did it. So I think that'd be cool. And you had Ryan Nemeth cut a promo about Nick Nemeth, his big brother, his return, which is just coming Thursday, which, like I said earlier, the upcoming episode of Impact for the first Impact of September is going to be live. So they're saving some of the big stuff for this, like Ash's Championship celebration, Nick Nemeth's return. This is perfect timing, him coming back. And obviously the Nemeths are going to want their rematch versus the Hardys. But Ryan Nemeth was interrupted by Alyssa Edwards and Eddie Edwards and the system. They've been on this mission to get on the sides of the fans. And it's been working so far. Like, they just they got easy. They got over so easily as baby faces. Like, to flip this, like if some of this Moose put the title on Leon Slater, that was the turn right there. Because Moose, a few months ago, Moose would have attacked Leon Slater after the match. They got his rematch, got his guaranteed rematch. But I like how TNA, they enforced rematch clause, but the way they turned Moose's face by not having him putting the title on Leon Slater, then giving him his respect and giving him his flowers, then going after the main title again, trying to bring the title back to TNA. I like that story. I like how they became faces and are feuding with, they had a feud with Order 4. I don't know if that'll continue, but I do like what the system's doing. They could go into a feud with the Nemeths. That could be cool. But Eddie Edwards, Ryan Nemeth had a match. Then Ryan was like, then Ryan thought Alyssa Edwards was wanted the match. He was like, I'm not going to fight a girl. Alyssa Edwards called him a dumbass, which was hilarious because I don't know what he thought was going to happen. So I got a match with Eddie Edwards, which got a decent amount of time. Eddie Edwards ended up getting the win. It was a full match. Obviously, Ryan wasn't going to win, but Eddie getting the win, full match. You had Tasha Steelz taking on Mara Sade. This was a good match. I enjoyed it from start to finish. There was a lot of shenanigans, which I didn't like, but I don't think it took away from the match. It was still a really good match. It was enjoyable, and Tasha Steelz ended up getting the win with her foot on the rope. But it was after the match, for Order 4 attacked her. You had Agent Zero, a clothesline, Mara Sade. Then the Hardys came out there to quote-unquote save her. She was already attacked and jumped by 4 different people. She got clotheslined by a 7-foot dude, and you wait till after the clothesline happens to save her. That was kind of odd. And speaking of the Hardys, they took on Leon Slater and Cedric Alexander. who had Leon and Cedric had a segment earlier that night, and Leon was confused as to why Cedric wanted to be a tag team, and Cedric was like, "You can have more gold around your waist if we win this match. Well, if you win this match, we could be number one contenders, and you potentially win more gold." And then it was really confusing because it's like Cedric, you already lost to Leon Slater, so did it twice, mind you, so it won't make sense to go after the title again. But you pick him as your tag partner when he's focused on the X Division title. Like, even during the match, he didn't even want to go against Hardy realistically, because he was like, he don't want to do this. He was forced into this match because Cedric wanted the tag match, wants the opportunity, and Cedric took the pin in the match. So this is like his third straight loss. Or fourth, because he lost Mustafa Ali, he lost in the triple threat with Cedric and Jason Hodge, he lost to Leon Slater in a one-on-one match, then he just lost to the Hardys. It's his fourth straight loss. He's on a losing streak. He came to TNA just to lose. I got respect for him. And then you had then the show ended with Trick Williams promo, him not knowing his Warrior's name. That was a pretty entertaining segment. I enjoyed it. He was like, "I'm not defending this title for the next 50 days. And then Santino was like, your last defense was at Emergence, so you can't be making it 50 days now because that's past Bound for Glory." And he tried to make a statement, but the Warrior started talking, getting in his ear, and Santino hit the Cobra on the Warrior, which was pretty entertaining. So I'm excited for this live episode of Impact that's coming this Thursday. It's going to feel different than the pre-taped episodes that they've been doing, because I think they'll try to do a live episode to start each month, then the others have been pre-taped on different days, which I like that, because obviously it gives them time to build up the brand once again. Obviously TNA is under new ownership, so it's giving them time to build up some stuff. So I think they'll have more lives next year, more live shows, and obviously it's no need to rush it, work at your own pace, which TNA has been doing. But it was a good Trick Williams promo. But Impact, I give it a 7.5 out of 10. It was a good episode. It was pretty entertaining. I think the opening match was really good. The tag match, the main event segment with Trick was really good. The Inspiration and Fatal Influence had a good match. Danny Luna's promo was weird. The way Marseille versus Tasha Steelz ended was kind of off-putting, with the Hardys coming out there after. Cedric and Leon tagging together was kind of weird. But for the most part, Impact wasn't drew up. Like the Eddie Edwards and Ryan Nemeth match, that whole segment really was entertaining. Like Ryan Nemeth, he does a great job. Like I don't know, he makes you hate him, but that's a good thing because that's the purpose of a heel. So shout out to Ryan Nemeth because he's doing like Ryan Nemeth does a great job just being really annoying. So shout out to Ryan Nemeth for that. But that's Impact this week. I give it a 7.5 out of 10. I'm not sure what's the next pay-per-view. I know they got Bound for Glory in October, but is it something in September? It could be, but I had to fact check that. But Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain. This has been a conversation for. I feel like people always talk about this conversation, talk about who's better between the two. I really think it. So with goodness, and with Bill Russell, I think people only think that Bill Russell is as good as he is, or as good as some people consider him because of the rings. But I think it's simply more than that. Like in the time he was playing, even people try to make up stuff about Wilt, saying that the 100-point game was fake. But why would they fake anything about a black man doing something that amazing in the 60s? Why would the NBA make up a story about a black man scoring 100 points in the 1960s? That's just kind of crazy to me. And both of these guys are top 10, well, I think I got Wilt at 11 all the time. Then I got Bill Russell at 5. But I got Bill Russell higher than Wilt, not just because of all the rings that he won. Obviously, he won 11 rings with a historic Celtics team. But you weren't really building. The only way you could build a super team is really through a draft in the 60s. So the Celtics just had a really, really good management. And that's what they were able to do. They were able to build those teams to go to multiple finals. Because Bill Russell went to 12 finals, went 11-1. It was only 1 year where he didn't go to the finals. And then his last season was the first season that the NBA ever introduced to all defensive teams. And he was the best defender in Bill Russell's greatest defender of all time. And he doesn't get much, I don't think many people acknowledge that because they only made one defensive team. But like I said, that one defensive team came in his last ever season in the NBA. That was his last season, was the first time all defensive teams were introduced. Like the steals and blocks that Bill Russell was getting was very impressive. And there's film, there's games that you can go back. There's games you can find to see footage of Bill Russell and Wilt, because they probably had a lot of unreported triple doubles with steals and blocks that weren't accounted for because they didn't start tracking those for a while. Because Wilt, his career started a bit after Bill Russell, so they met a few times. Well, they met a lot actually throughout the course of their career. But Wilt was able to win a few. He was able to get one more defensive team by playing a bit longer. Because Wilt, he had averaged 30 points per game, 22.9 rebounds, 4.4 assists, shot 54% from the field, 51% from the free throw line, had 2 rings, won one Finals MVP, I think. And the first one, Wilt would probably have 2 if it wasn't for the Finals MVP not existing. Like that, it could be a different video for a different day of going down history of all the finals that didn't have a Finals MVP and saying who I think should have won each one, because Finals MVP didn't always exist. People don't acknowledge that. Like Wilt, he had 2 rings. Wilt, he had 6, but these guys would have had more Finals MVPs if they existed when they were playing. And I think and then Wilt, he had 10 All NBA teams, won 4 MVPs, and they were playing in an era where players were voting for the MVPs. So I think that's a little less biased than the media voting for MVPs. Obviously players voting isn't the best system, but I don't know what's the best system. Because you can't have fans vote for MVPs. That'd be the most extreme form of bias, because that's how Zaza Pachulia really got in the All-Star game, due to fan votes. So you can't rely on that to be how somebody gets rewarded the MVP. Obviously, media, they have their biases. You have Kenny Perkins, who makes stuff up and says that he's in the MVP conversation because he's white, despite there not being many white players still win MVP. So I still would never understand that statement to this day. And then the players voting, and some of them obviously don't vote for their teammates, but I think for the most part, that was probably the most effective system and best way to determine who MVP was, because Bill Russell winning the MVP, even in Wilt's 50-point season, that's Wilt didn't win. His team didn't win many games. Let me not say Wilt, because obviously he's averaging 50, so he's doing all that he can. But his team isn't helping him. His support cast isn't helping him. If they have a 500 season, that's not on Wilt. He averaged 50 points, but his team didn't help him make a better case to win MVP. That's why it's hard to win MVP on a lower rated team, even in media. Even fans see that. And like some fans don't. Like I think even as an AC, like if you have a stat, so you have the impact, I think there can be an argument made, which is why he was in the MVP conversation. Elgin Baylor averaged 38 that season, and then Bill Russell Wilt was a double machine that season as well. And then obviously Bill was never the scorer. He was a good playmaker. I do think Bill was the better playmaker, even though Wilt led the league in scoring. He did that a lot. But even though he led the league in playmaking one year, and Wilt led the league in assists a year, maybe 2 years, but I know he did it for one for sure. But I do think that came later in his career. I think earlier in their careers, Bill was the better playmaker. Then Wilt started to close that gap at the end of his career, which is why he was able to win another ring. Once he went to the Lakers, being able to defer to Elgin Baylor and Jerry West and being able to rely on them as well. So I think that was beneficial for his career. And his first championship, I think it was him and Hal Greer that was on that team. You could have made an argument for each one of them being Finals MVP, but I think Wilt probably would have won it if it was introduced at that time, and he would have had 2 Finals MVPs for his 2 rings, because he was the best player on both his Finals and his teams. But Bill Russell, I think, even out of his 11 championships, he should have a minimum of 6 Finals MVPs. And there's an argument to be made for more, but I think out of those 11, he was the best player 6 times out of those 11. So I think that's what you got to look at when it comes to ranking some of these older school players, like a Bill Russell, like a George Mikan, because they got multiple rings, they don't have a Finals MVP. So you got to look at it as how many times was this player the best player on their championship winning team? Because I think like I said, Bill was the greatest defender of all time. He got the rebounds to prove for it. He got the unaccounted for stats. I do think, as far as the defense and playmaking, I give that to Bill Russell. Scoring and rebounding, I give that to Wilt. And Wilt was more efficient, but that doesn't mean that Bill was inefficient. When you got to look at it at the time period. You got to rank relative to era. What was the efficiency like in that era? So Bill shooting 44% from the field and 56 from the free throw line. That was not inefficient for the era that he played in. It was actually very efficient. That was above league average at most times for the in his 13 seasons. He shot above league average 8 times, shot under league average 4 times, and shot the same as league average once. So for his era, Bill Russell was efficient. Like obviously compared to today, that's not efficient for a center, but you can't say, let's throw Bill Russell in today's era and see what he does. It's, number one, it's hypothetical. Number two, it's disrespectful because, and I'm pretty sure both guys, like Bill Russell passed away not too long ago, and Will did a few years ago. So RIP to both of them. These are two legends, but I do think that what gives Bill Russell the gap is that he was the better player performer. He did lead his team to more championships, and he was the best player on his championship winning teams more than Wilt was. He had outperformed him. There was times where Wilt gave Bill Russell buckets as well. But I do think Bill was the overall better player and had the overall better career. And that's just how I see it. But it doesn't make Wilt bad. I got Wilt at 11. I got Bill Russell at 5. So, and then to cap it off with athletes of the week. For WWE, I went with Blake Monroe. Her match with Jordan Grace was the best match of Heat Wave, in my opinion. I really enjoyed that match. Her using her wrestling like a heel to get the ring was really smart and effective. And then the match she had with Kalani Jordan on NXT, cool match, but it furthered the story of her and Jordan Grace, for her being scared, trying to run away and not being able to get out the arena. And then her ended up taking the L. So she had 2 matches. Both were good matches. The one with Grace was really good, but you also furthered the story about her losing to Kalani as well, furthered that story with her and Jordan Grace. For TNA, I went with Eric Young, who defeated Myron Reed on Impact in a really solid match, then attacked Joe Hendry. And I think the plan is coming, whatever that means. It has me really invested and excited to see what's next for Eric Young and Northern Armory, and just overall what's next for TNA and what direction they're going in with this story. For the WNBA, I went with Aaliyah Boston. A few days ago on the 26th, the Indiana Fever beat the Storm in a game where she had 27 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals on 10 of 18 from the field, 1 and 2 from 3, and 6 and 9 from the free throw line. Then last night in the game versus Sparks, she put up 22 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, 6 steals, 1 block, and shot 11 to 18 from the field. Didn't shoot a 3, didn't shoot a free throw, and still very effective on both ends of the ball. And ended up winning by 1 point. So they won their last 2 games to position themselves and really to stay afloat. She's been helping this team stay afloat, her and Kelsey Mitchell. But Aaliyah Boston, I feel like she's really shined these last 2 games. I got to get the standings pulled up to see where they're at now. Yeah, they're 6, they're 21-18. So they did jump Seattle with that win. And they gained another edge on the Sparks as well. Maybe even really hurting the Sparks playoff hopes, because obviously they still have a chance to qualify, but it's going to be a bit harder now. For the MLB, I went with Kyle Schwarber, who in 5 games had 20 at-bats, 7 runs, 5 hits, 4 home runs, and 10 RBIs. But it was a game versus the Braves recently where he had a 4 home run, 9 RBI game, which is very impressive. From his 4th 4 home run game of his career, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that, but I've seen a stat. It was something like that. So Kyle Schwarber, he had a really impressive week and a really impressive game versus the Braves, which is what carried that week. For AEW, I went with Adam Copeland and Christian Cage, who defeated Killer Switch and Kip Sabian at Forbidden Door. And although I haven't seen Dynamite yet, haven't seen all of it, I got to finish Dynamite from this past Wednesday. The segment they did was really cool with FTR. So I like the program they're going to go into with that. So I tried to have Copeland and Christian Cage. And then for college soccer, which I watched the game on Sunday, I think it was another soccer game that was played between this But this was the one on Sunday where Akron defeated Northern Kentucky to improve to 2-0 to start the season. Remy and Anga Die might have said that wrong, but he had a goal, the only goal in that game that ended up giving Akron a win to start the season 2-0. I got to check the score the last last soccer game. But that wraps it up for Weekly Sports Talk with Ed, episode 61. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, comment if you're watching the playback to this. Let me know what you think anything I talked about. Who do you think won the trade between the Packers and Cowboys? What's next for the WNBA teams already eliminated from playoff contention? And what are y'all thinking of Impact and what they've been doing lately? Who do y'all have all-time, Bill Russell or Wilt Chamberlain? Let me know. I'll be checking the comments and I'll reply. I'll reply to most comments. But hope you all enjoyed this.